Hey, Natsu here. Today I'm going to do part 7 of What If Deku had an Omega Stone. So, in the last part, Deku basically just. Well, no, Deku actually didn't do that much against One for All. He did start fighting against him, but since All Might is actually stronger than Deku, when it comes to, well, not in physical strength, but I mean in power output. So, Deku basically um, couldn't save All Might from losing his power. All Might still won. I asked if Deku would be able to help for Ragdoll. The only person that actually responded to me on Discord actually was Gray. The only person, well, the only other person that I know, well, that I talk to on YouTube or Discord that actually knows about the original person that made the fanfiction about those. He just repeated to me that he can modify DNA itself, so he should be able to. He would just be in his stone for multiple days afterward, which I get it. So I would say, okay, yeah, he is going to do it, um, but not right now. In a bit. Um, so everyone basically gets the same speech that All Might did. They pointed, well, he pointed at the camera saying you're next, basically wanting to point at Bakugo to be precise, because he has one for all. But this time also pointing for two other people. That he knows that after more training, they're actually going to get more powerful than even Bakugo could ever hope to be, because of the stones. Um, well, not because of the stones, but because he knows how they work, basically. Um, so they got everyone to a hospital. They checked for um, damage on every hero and everything. And this is where it happens, where they basically ask, well, All Might firstly asked Deku if he can help him. Deku told him that it was impossible. He already passed the quirk. It was in his DNA, but it switched to Bakugo, and it cannot stay in two places at once because of the way it's made. So then he asked about Ragdoll. He says that her quirk got stolen, but that they can't actually let All for One close to her, mostly because he's passed out and also going to prison. Then All Might asked Deku if All for One tried to steal his quirk, which Deku doesn't even know how he, All for One, could do that, and just say, I don't know. So he goes to see Ragdoll with Tsuyu and Bakugo in tow. Um, she is still kind of unresponsive, so she is conscious, but she is kind of still mentally broken for now. Not for very long, because yeah, she was able to talk later and have full-on conversation and just be back to what she was actually. So doctors basically explained that there's no way he is actually going to be able to do that, It's not just healing the body, her quirk literally got stolen, but he asks Emerald to scan her, and Emerald says her DNA still has a trace of her quirk. We can bring it back, but it's going to take so much energy that for the next 4 or 5 days you're actually going to stay in the stone. So he basically looks behind him at Tsuyu, takes off his watch and basically goes to tell her to keep it safe for him. Um, a doctor tries to pick it up and basically it's not moving. Tsuyu grabs it and says it's 2 ton, it weighs 2 ton, you won't be able to move it. With the doctor basically just looking at those kids like, wait, what? And All Might just saying, yeah, don't try to do that. If you would have let it go of it, you would have probably lost your hand. So then he asks Deku how much power would you need to exert on to do that, which he says, I'm going to be out for a few days after doing this, so I'll need you to keep my stone safe. With the doctor basically asking, what does he mean? And then Bakugo asking, how many days precisely? And Deku says, maximum of 8 days. Which Bakugo says that should be okay. She just needs to put you in a watch with the other one. Which Deku says, yeah, but I would prefer not. So Bakugo tells him, you know what, I'm going to keep you with me all of that time, no matter what happens. Just keep you safe to be sure. So basically, Deku goes to start using his power, and basically everyone around him, like in a radius of around 4 or 5 blocks around the hospital, while he's using that, electricity is is starting to wave, like it's lights closed, lights on, light closed, lights on. Basically, because of the huge amount of power, as well as everyone basically feeling a power that's basically just a pressure. They're not even able to basically try and move. It's as if their entire bodies were just pushed down. The only one that was still able to kind of move was Tsuyu, and even her, she wasn't able to do that much. Like, the pressure coming off of Deku was basically strong enough to push anyone away. The other Pussycats were there with him, well, with them, and we're basically just seeing the huge amount of power coming off of Deku, until basically his body just started to turn into light and just absorbed into the stone. Like, it's not poofing, it's basically really just kind of its body just turning into light and entering the stone, and then just it falling on the ground, with Tsuyu basically grabbing it with her tongue and then giving it to Bakugo. The doctors were basically just asking, where is he? What happened to him? With Bakugo showing the stone and saying, he's right there. With basically Deku's clothes also turning into light to basically follow him in the stone. Because by this point he learned to do that correctly. Sorry. So, they basically asked Ragdoll if she was okay, and she's basically starting to get back to her senses. They ask her if she can use her quirk. She uses it and says yeah. And the other pussycats are basically all over her because they're really happy. Then they look at Bakugo and Tsuyu, basically telling them that well, to tell them when Deku wakes up because they want to say thank you. And so they leave the hospital, Tsuyu with the watch on, and basically Bakugo keeps Deku with him 24/7. Like, for the next 6 days, which is about the amount of time that it took him, Bakugo always had Deku, or in his pockets, or in a special, um, bag that he always kept. Um, when Deku was finally able to start regenerating, Bakugo sensed it because the stone started emitting heat. He took it out of his pocket and basically Deku reformed with his clothes. And let's say this was in the middle of him talking with Tsuyu and All Might. Basically, they were with him, and it happened because they were talking about what they would do with Deku. During that time, Nezu was thinking about was starting to say the teachers to go talk with the parents to basically bring the kids in the dorms. And it was basically that. It was Bakugo, Tsuyu, and All Might inside of Deku's home, basically talking with Inko. Bakugo already explained to her that Deku healed someone to an extent that basically wore him out to the point of transforming into his stone. Um, and basically it was in the middle of that he started transforming. Looking around, he basically asked what was happening and how long it took him, with Bakugo saying 6 days, 4 hours, well, no, 6 days, and basically enough time to be almost 2 hours in the afternoon, and they were in the night time when the raid happened, and that Deku healed Ragdoll. They explained to him about the dorms and that his mom accepted. So then Tsuyu gives him back the watch, and then Deku asked All Might if they could talk in private with Tsuyu as well. So basically, they went, and Deku started to explain to him about the stones, and that if he wanted, basically he opened the watch showing the last one, and he said to All Might, if you wanted, you can take it so that you can have powers again. With All Might refusing, telling him that if the stone can be given to anyone, basically Deku explained to him that it makes you age until your prime, that it gives you power, you don't age afterward, and that you live for practically ever, unless by some miracle the stone is broken. And then All Might just tells him that he gave already. He was a hero to give the stone to someone else who would be able to actually use it properly. So Deku decided that he was going to keep looking. But All Might told him, thank you for at least thinking of me for that. It's a really nice thing to do. With Deku basically telling him that he was the number one hero. If All Might would have been dying anyway, he would have probably gave him the stone even if he wouldn't have accepted, just to make sure that he was safe. So yeah. They left the room. Inko signed the papers to say that she accepts. And then, um, while that was happening, Bakugo finished being on the phone, and he tells Deku that the pussycats want to talk to him, and that they are at the forest training camp. Inko asks them how they're going to get there, and Bakugo just looks at Deku and say, "Can you bring me with you?" With Deku basically saying, "You're going to have to keep your mouth shut for the ride because you're going to eat a lot of bugs." Bakugo basically starts laughing, and he tells Inko that they're going to be gone for about 4 or 5 hours, depending on how long they stay there as well, because they can go really fast. The only problem is Tsuyu goes slower than Deku, but as well they have to slow down a bit for Baku. Basically, he just asked Deku to actually stop at his house. They stopped there. Well, actually, no. They wanted to go at his house, so All Might basically told them to come in the car with them, that were going there anyway. So after that, they could go. So they basically went with them. Aizawa was basically looking at them and at All Might basically saying, "Why did you bring them?" With All Might saying that after that Bakugo was just going to his house anyway, and that afterward they were going to meet the Pussycats, so he just told them to come. Aizawa just said okay, and basically left it at that. Getting to Bakugo's house, basically they talked with Bakugo's mom, Mitsuki. They accept. Then Bakugo go grab a helmet, basically for like a bike or something that has a something for you to put in front of your eyes. And basically, the way they do it is Bakugo literally just jumps on Deku's back. Mitsuki laughs a bit, and Bakugo's kind of angry and tells her to not laugh. It's the only way for him to actually stay close to them while they're running. They say bye, and then they just zoom out, like, as fast as Tsuyu can go, which increases her strength pretty well. So they basically get there. When they get there, they're basically surprised to see Bakugo and Tsuyu as well. But Bakugo just says that he was coming with him simply because he wanted to know what was happening. And Tsu just said that him and Deku were basically just staying together a lot most of the time. So basically, Ragdoll said thank you for giving her back her quirk, that it was really nice of him to actually do something that was actually endangering his own life, which he basically said that it wasn't really that much endangering his life, simply because if he doesn't have any more energy, he just goes into the stone and it basically heals anything from him. Like, he's probably not going to die from losing too much energy or even blood. Like, if he loses too much of his body for it to recover on its own, he's basically just entering the stone for himself to recover, which all four Pussycats and Shota, Koda, yeah, and Koda hears that and are like, wait, you can do that? Which he basically asks Tsuyu if he can show them. He says sorry, and she just says, yeah, just do it. Basically, really not happy of that, but she gets that they would kind of need to show her. Um, She tells Emerald to take all of the pain receptor of her body and turn them off for it to not hurt at all, which Sapphire does it, and bam, he takes off her head, and her body goes all into the stone, which at first they're all freaking afraid of that, like terrified. When they see that she just enters the stone, they're still a bit terrified, and then he presses his hand together and starts healing. Because since she isn't able to do that, she couldn't help Deku heal his energy, but he can do that. And by healing, he gives the energy more energy, which is enough to heal her body almost instantly, and she takes back her form. He covers her in that same moment with plants, basically for the reason that compared to him, she's not able to bring her clothes into her stone yet. She trained to do it, but she still has trouble with. So he basically covered her. So she was able to then put on her clothes back before everyone could basically watch. So they were surprised by that. And since they know that, yeah, she has the same powers as him, and that they should, since Deku will get more power and that she will do the same, well, they're basically the same, except that Deku's stronger. So after saying the thanks and stuff like that, and Koda basically thanking Deku for saving him, and also stopping his parents' murderer. So they go back to their house, bringing Bakugo back to his house, until when the dorms opens. So at the dorms, firstly, Deku Deku's room basically happens to be more has more stuff like minerals, gems, and stuff like that that he creates himself. Because Emerald talked to him about them being able to make new stones that are less unbreakable but still pretty hard. So he basically makes diamonds and tries to find a way to make more stones that are compared to the Emerald, Sapphire, and Ruby. They're not alive, but they still give powers. He isn't able to find out how yet. Like, he can put powers into them, but he's not able to give them to anyone. He actually tried it with Bakugo at some point, just, multiple times without him noticing, but nothing was happening. So he's still looking for that. So after that, they do training for super moves and stuff like that. Um, for a while, basically everything's the same, except that Deku and Tsuyu have different moves. Like, she uses ice shot. Basically, she makes a bubble of water that she shoots at stuff, and when they touch, she basically make it freeze on the spot, basically forcing someone to stop on that moment, as well as other moves like that. Deku basically has creates a technique that is called sand clones, which basically it sounds exactly as it basically does exactly as it sounds. He makes clones that look exactly like him, except for the colors, and basically they just attack. They are solid like stone or dirt and stuff like that, but they're made of sand. So they can hit, but when someone tries to hit them back, they basically turn into sand and reform, so it's kind of hard to break them. Water and extremely high temperatures can destroy them, or if you're able to literally destroy them. But yeah, so until when All Might basically gets in the way of a stone that's falling because of Bakugo, Deku healed him, so he doesn't have the problem of being totally hurt, and he has some muscle. So he was able to dodge out of the way, but Deku still stopped the stone in the air with his power, and basically told Bakugo to be more careful, as well as Deku training with Shoto sometimes. Um, that's one thing I was almost going to forget. So yeah, Deku's starting to be able to control fire a bit and turn into it. He still has the watch on him constantly, but yeah. So um, for super moves, basically another thing that they did was actually start training to do the fusion thing that I talked about. So the way fusion works in this and with those stones is not like, let's say, the crystal gems or Dragon Ball. It's not with a dance. It's more that they have to stop thinking as two people and start thinking as one person. And then after that, they just need to do skin contact for for the fusion to happen. So just grabbing the hand of the other one or stuff like that basically does it. Just touching their shoulder actually works as well. And basically, they started trying to do that. They connect Sapphire and Emerald and then connect themselves to their own stone to basically make all of them connected. And then start going for the fusion. And they're pretty well capable of doing it. Actually, the way it happens is that it basically makes them about um, well, it doesn't double the size that they have. It makes them taller, but only like 1.5 times the size that they had. They get more muscular as well. And it's basically a perfect combination of both of them. So long black and green hair, um, Tsuyu's hand that are able to take things, her tongue, her mouth. Um, they have one eye of the color of Tsuyu, the other eye of Deku. And for the body, it's not actually a mix of female and male. The body just is basically, well, doesn't have a sex, so it basically looks like a man, but doesn't have the member on the low part. Yeah, sorry about that, but yeah. So basically, they're able to do that. When doing that, they basically more than double their strength, so it makes them really powerful. So basically, everyone in Class 1A thinks that it's awesome. And since it is, since Deku has earth, plant, metal, minerals, whatever, water, ice, fire, and Suyu has basically ice, water, vapor, and some plants capacity, they can do something pretty well and pretty powerful. It adds their speed together, their strength, and blah blah blah, so as well as multiplying it. So their power in that form is huge. So I'm going to end it here and do the hero license arc in the next part. Tomorrow during the day I won't be able to post a video. So it will go down to um, the night. Reason for that is that I'm going to a party. No, it's not a big party because of quarantine. It's basically just like, wait, there's me, my sister, mom, her boyfriend, my grandpa. On the other side of for the people that we're going to, there's the one we're going to do the birthday for, the two parents, and probably one or two other people. We're going to be around 10 at max. Well, not at max, but most probably. There might be more people, I don't know, but yeah. So, hope you like this part. If you have anything you want to ask about it, just ask me in the comment section. So yeah. Oh, also, one last thing. I realized that, yeah, it's probably not a good idea to say this, but YouTube is really annoying. Like, even if you subscribe to me, if you don't ask for the notification of me posting a video, you have an extremely low chance of actually getting it, simply because YouTube only plays big YouTubers or videos that are 2 years old to everyone's recommendation. Basically, it's trying to increase the popularity of bigger YouTuber while putting YouTubers that just started or have a low sub count down to the ground. So yeah, if you subscribe, hit the notification bell simply because it will help you see my video. If you don't check it, well, if you don't check my channel every day, you don't have to. I don't really care. All I want is for you to enjoy the what ifs. So yeah, Natsu out.